Why are word forms important in IELTS? Well, they're important for a variety of reasons. In all 4 sections of the IELTS exam, the ability to recognise and use a range of vocabulary is required. For listening and reading, understanding how words are used is important for comprehension. And for writing and speaking, using a variety of word forms shows flexibility, accuracy, and effective paraphrasing. Now, in English, we use nominalization, which is a fancy technical word for changing, or the process of changing, a word into another form. Here we've got some examples of how we change a verb into a noun or a noun phrase. We've got populate becomes population. There are some countries which need to populate more. There are some countries which need to increase their population. So you can see that to populate, the verb, has been changed into the noun population. Decide becomes decision. New companies should decide quickly who to employ. New companies should make a quick decision on employees. Visited a museum can become museum visit. 100 people have visited a museum so far this year. There have been 100 museum visits so far this year. Own a car can become car owner. There was an increase in the number of people who owned a car. There was an increase in the number of car owners. Now, one way to use nominalization is to use suffixes, because suffixes enable us to change the word form. Here we've got a list of some of the common suffixes, but it's not all of them. There are a lot of different suffixes that we can use to change the form of the root word. So here we've got some that we use when we want to create a noun. So move, and we add ment to it, becomes movement. Pollution, so to pollute, pollution. Close becomes closeness. Popularity, breakage. We've got the ER, OR, IST, and the IAN, which we use to create positions or people. So we can say a farm becomes a farmer. The man who works on a farm is a farmer. Author, activist, dietitian. When we want to create an adverb, we can generally just add ly. When we want to create an adjective, we can add the following suffixes. Able, so comfort, becomes comfortable. Terror becomes terrible. Response becomes responsive. We've got practical and iconic. We have here a practice exercise. I'd like you to pause the video and change the verb in the brackets, add a suffix to create a new form of the word. So instead of using employ, you're going to change that root verb. You're not going to use a synonym. You are only going to add a suffix to change the word employ into a different form. So pause the video and have a go. So how did you do? Here is an answer. There are other alternatives, but this is just one way that we can change the words. It is critical for all employees to show dedication and commitment to their jobs if they wish to succeed and gain a promotion. When it comes to customer service, the employer must train staff to interact with people from all walks of life, such as doctors, actors, and cleaners. This will lead to a sustainable business. This is another way to show flexibility by using prefixes. And again, these are just a selection. There are a lot of different prefixes, and the ones that we have listed here show a negative context. Miss, dis, ir, and un. They're all used in a negative meaning. So to misunderstand means that you don't understand correctly. To disrespect means that you don't respect the person. Irresponsible, you are not responsible. Unsupportive, again, you are not supportive. So these ones are used in a negative form. but not all prefixes are negative. We could use the root word unite. We could say reunite. So reunite here, we're adding the re at the beginning of unite, and reunite becomes something positive, to reunite family and friends, to bring together again. So not all prefixes are negative. So how is this useful in the writing exam? Paraphrasing is important in writing to avoid being repetitive and showing a limited range of vocabulary. The marking criteria refers to having limited control and frequency of errors in word formation. So the fewer mistakes in this area, the better your score for lexical resource will be. Test takers who are aiming for a 7 and above in lexical resource really need to show flexible and precise use of vocabulary. So by using and changing the word formation, it's a really good way to show that flexibility of language. So let's see how we can use this in writing an introduction for an IELTS essay. We have the question here. Some people feel that the best way to reduce the number of accidents on the road is to further limit the speed of vehicles. Others think that there are better ways to tackle this issue. So I'd like you to pause the video and have a think about how you would change those words, the highlighted words in green. Change those into a different word form using either your prefixes or suffixes. You can also use synonyms, but we're trying to show you a different way here of not relying only on synonyms to show variety in your vocabulary. So pause the video and think how you would write this introduction. So here we've got a couple of different alternatives to the original. Now I will say that neither of these have actually added the position, because it does say discuss both views and give your own opinion. We've just rephrased, we've just changed the word forms and restructured how we're saying it. So again, pause the video and have a read of those two alternatives. And how is this useful in the speaking exam? Well, while we don't want to use the same formality when speaking as we do when we are writing, it is still important to show flexible and accurate use of language. So again, we want to be changing our word forms because it is particularly helpful in part 3 when the questions require a little bit more complex language. So it's a great opportunity in part 3 to start using those word forms to show variety. If we take this possible part 3 question, do you think advertising influences what people buy? Now, one answer could be, and they haven't really changed a lot in terms of word form or even synonyms or paraphrasing. They haven't really changed too much. Yes, advertising influences people to buy things they may not need or want. There are many offers advertised on TV, in magazines and online which influence what people purchase. So it's quite a basic answer. Now let's take a look at the next one and pay attention to the highlighted words here. Do you think advertising influences what people buy? Absolutely. Marketers are skilled at developing advertising strategies in order to lure buyers into spending more. Most people's buying habits are influenced by ads and TV commercials enticing them to purchase goods that they don't actually need. For example, advertised 2-for-1 offers. We often don't need the item, but the advertisement makes us think it's a bargain and we go ahead and buy it. When it comes to listening and reading, understanding word formation is also useful because it can help you to predict and guess answers, particularly if you don't actually know what a word is. So for example, you may not understand the word toxicity, but if you can recognize the root word toxic, then that's going to help you to have a better comprehension of the text. If you know that that word toxic is a negative thing and you understand the meaning of it, then as I said, you will be able to work out what toxicity might refer to and if it is relevant to your answer. While you're preparing for the exam, it's also important to be continuing to improve your overall general English. Now, one way to increase your vocabulary is to build word lists. So when we learn a new word, think of the different forms of that word and write it down. Don't just write one individual word. Try and get those different word forms to help build your range of vocabulary. And as you can see from these lists, we've got a lot of different options from one single word. So produce, you can use produced, produces, producing, production, producer, reproduction, productive, productivity, unproductive, even counterproductive. When you're learning vocabulary, try to create these word lists because, as I said, it will help you to extend your range of vocabulary, which is going to help when it comes to your lexical resource score, particularly for writing and speaking. If you found this video useful, please make sure that you like and you can share it as well. And you can follow us on the Facebook page, IELTS Prep Me, or on YouTube, IELTS Prep Me as well. You can also contact us on the WhatsApp number. So until next time, take care.